Bob and Bob
So
Show.
the order is signed, and I'll sign the final papers as soon as I get into the Oval Office, and we will have a national emergency, and we will then be sued, and they will sue us in the Ninth Circuit, even though it shouldn't be there, and we will possibly get a bad ruling, and then we'll get another bad ruling, and then we'll end up in the Supreme Court, and hopefully we'll get a fair shake, and we'll win in the Supreme Court.
Hey, what's up? You are listening to the Bob and Bob Show. Go to bobandbobshow.com. Check out our webpage. All kinds of good stuff on there. You can listen to the podcast. You can check out the YouTube. And also, if you text Bob and Bob Show to 22828, you can join the email list that way as well. Get a bunch of goodies that we're going to be selling, like some of our T-shirts and hats that are coming. And you'll get exclusive first listens to some of our other shows and stuff like that, and you won't get charged because we're going to start charging people eventually.
And Bob and Bob Show flavored cookies and cupcakes.
Yeah. And so today we got, as always, the other Bob.
Yo.
The bearded Bob. And we also have Chops here with us again today.
How you doing?
How you doing today?
Slow motion.
So we had a lot of crap going on here this week.
Always.
Especially with Mr. Trump declaring his national emergency. What do you guys think about that?
I think it minimizes actual emergencies, and emergencies like that should be able to be mathematically verified with sound data that is independent and should be passed by Congress through votes, not executive orders. He's not a king.
Well, the way I look at it is, when he passes a security issue like that, some laws that have been passed by past presidents come into play. From the Patriot Act to the National Defense Authorization Act, because now we're in a state of emergency.
We've been in a state of emergency pretty much for 60 years.
I don't know. I know a lot of different presidents have used it.
I mean, the state of emergency doesn't change. Just the narrative does a little bit, but nothing really changes. I mean, the exact agenda is changing a little. He's talking about a border wall, but he's using that under the guise of national emergency. How'd you come up with this emergency? And are we just going to call it an emergency, or it has to be a real emergency? It has to be legitimate, man. Come on, that's regal power, and the United States is supposed to be against that kind of ruling.
Well, because of President Bush and Obama and others, if we're in a state of emergency, there's a lot of things that can happen within our military and within our country where our forefathers actually did not want anything like that to happen. The president in the executive branch is not supposed to have that kind of power.
Right.
And what happens is, from what I'm looking at, is, they're able to kick in your frickin' door. They're able to come in, take your guns, take your family away. They're able to, arrest you with no due process.
How we end up in this kind of a situation is actually it's funny that you mentioned kick in the door, because that type of manipulation over a period of time, a subversion like that, is literally called the foot in the door method. It's when they ask for things in increments, little bits here, little bits there, and before you know it, you're completely consumed.
Yeah, well, if you say, we're in a state of emergency, we need to do something, everybody stay in their homes. You know what I mean? They immediately start taking away your rights because of this emergency.
Safety and the welfare of the people, the safety of the people. It really doesn't take much to see what the sacrifice is for policy like that, and what the end is. It's always liberties taken away from the population and power passed to central power. It always ends in that. That's how governments grow.
Call it what it is. It's pre-martial law.
It is martial law.
It is. It's a form of martial law.
It is.
If you don't abide by what they say, even though it is breaking your Constitution, they say, well, we're in a state of emergency and we need you to do this. So now you're getting orders and you have to do what they say.
That's why they shouldn't be able to just say this is an emergency and just call it what it is. We should be able to say, no, it's not. Prove it.
Right.
I mean,
a hurricane or an earthquake, how fast did they respond to any of that?
And should they? That's debatable too. But the other part of it is that that what we're looking at is a huge expansion of executive power over time. And any time a power structure, I've said this a million times, and I'm going to keep saying it, anytime a power structure is allowed to continue to grow, it will grow. And that is always at the sacrifice of the population, the population's liberties, and what it gives in giving the power structures that control. It tips the scales. The balance is lost. And the more it gets lost, the more government grows, the more the scales get tipped, and eventually it usually ends in chaos.
It's just a group of dictators.
Yeah. It usually ends in some kind of an insurrection and an actual war. And that's something none of us really want to see. Can it always be reversed? Yeah, but it doesn't usually get reversed without a large upset.
Well, it's all about the wall to Trump, And
I know.
He said that it's not all about his campaign promise. It's about securing our borders for national security reasons.
Okay, and it's about making his buddies that are going to build the wall rich. It's about him satisfying his ego and saying that he's King Trump that can stamp his name on this wall, and the all of the constituents that can't think critically will cheer their chosen demagogue, and it's political bullshit because there's no data backing up how effective this wall is going to be. A lot of it's speculative. Yeah, a lot of things are speculative, but show me your speculation that makes sense. I haven't seen one.
Well, the wall itself, it really doesn't alleviate any of the problems that are really happening.
That's what I mean.
I mean, we just watched a video that Burgess, showed us with the cartels cutting arms and legs off a live human being.
Yeah, and that you know what? That can be used to appeal to emotion to build the wall. Is that going to keep that from happening? No, because the people that are doing it still exist, and they still have the same motives that they had. Now we just have a structure in between them.
Well, Al-Qaeda and ISIS and all that, they're showing videos of heads being chopped off and all that stuff. And guess what? We have military intervention all over the Middle East.
Yeah.
So what the hell's going on down in Mexico? Why we can't get in there? These cartels they're freaking terrorists.
Because follow the money. The money is being made. The money is being made, so the violence is not going to stop.
Obviously, but why are we not following the money? Why are the American people so divided on whether, the people who don't want the wall don't even know, they just think it's freaking, they don't want the wall because it's Trump wanting the wall.
Some people, yeah.
I mean, I've heard arguments on both sides, obviously, but the majority of what I hear is people don't even know why they want the wall or why they don't want the wall.
Every argument is going to have nuance.
We have to stop the flow of immigrants coming into this, illegal immigrants coming into this country.
Okay.
Well, why are people not looking at the fact that they are running here for a freaking reason? They're not, because they're going to get free health care and they're going to get food stamps.
Do they really get all that, though?
You
hear so much in every direction.
They're tax exempt for 7 years if they come here to start a business. 7 years.
I think that's if they come here legally.
Legally, yes.
So is it better to come here legally? Is it better to come here illegally? You have to work under the table. I mean, who knows?
Why don't we just let everybody in legally and get rid of the welfare state?
We'll be overpopulated.
No, we won't. A few thousand more people?
Listen,
even a million more people.
There's more than there's more than a few thousand.
A million people. That's 0.3% of an increase in population.
Well, if you go down into the southern states, people working for $5, $6, $7 an hour, you can't pay your rent. You can't pay for your car payment.
Those are illegal.
Yeah.
Illegals doing that, though.
Well,
make them legal so that their employers can't blackmail them with ICE.
But even legal, they don't care about what they work for because it's 10 times as much as they made in Mexico or wherever they come from.
Oh, absolutely. That's why it's so good here, because the dollar's worth so much more than the peso. Right. You know what I'm saying? It's incredible. A $10 an hour job here is like $100 an hour down there.
They can support themselves here and support their whole family in Mexico. One family member.
And I've met a lot of legal people that I used to work with. I've met them. Like I'd ask, like landscaping. You know what I mean? There'd be a guy up here, middle-aged man, maybe 40, bust his ass all day in the sun, and in Ohio and whatnot, and it ain't nothing to him. He's from Mexico. You know what I mean?
Right. I'm
actually Honduras, and I'm like. So, this is a 20-year-old conversation. Yeah, he was legal. He'd come in every year. He'd go home every winter. And come Thanksgiving, he's gone. He comes back in April. I'm like, so what's it about down there where you're at? He's like, I'm a king. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I make, $30 grand here. Down there, that's like $3 million a year, man. He's like, I own restaurants. My family's taken care of. I'm good. This is a dream to me, buddy.
And he pays the cartel their wages, their cut that they need in order for him to operate.
Right. Yeah, it's a mid-level labor job in Northeast Ohio, and he's a king in Honduras. You know what I mean?
Well, the reality that I'm seeing, and I'm sure you guys probably see it too, is putting a wall up. From what's going to happen is these people that are running from being decapitated and dismembered and freaking their families being murdered and stuff, that they're running from. There's going to be a war down in Venezuela pretty soon because, America wants to liberate Venezuela. But now we're going to have more caravans coming. We're going to have more humanitarian situations that are happening. And listen.
So that's problem, reaction, solution.
Well, you want to go over there and you want to liberate all these other countries, but you don't want to go down and mess with Mexico, or you don't want to you're going to mess with Venezuela for some reason.
Dude, the government makes so much money off the drug war just by raiding the population because of prohibition. And, I mean, we're talking billions, man. There's entire massive agencies, international agencies, that are tied up in this. It's employing hundreds of thousands of people. Some of them are making lots and lots of money. The machine itself is making billions. Of course, the criminal organizations are too, but it's tit for tat. They're both making money. As long as they're making money, this one's making money.
Let's flip-flop it, okay? Let's say that America is overrun by drug cartels.
Well, it kind of is.
No, okay, we're just going to hypothetically speak for a minute. Let's say that America was overrun by drug cartels. The drug cartels have their fear influence on our government, so our government follows orders from the cartels, like Mexico, okay? And what happens when they're running around the United States and they're decapitating Americans, they're cutting off their limbs, nothing's being done about it, everybody's on drugs and whacked out of their freaking mind, and it's nothing but a huge fiasco that's happening in the States. What if we needed to run? Would we run, or would we stay and fight? We've talked about this.
That whole cartel thing happening here is not likely to happen. I understand why you brought it up, but let me present another one.
Okay.
Let's say that pharma and insurance cartels take over the United States government and start mandating that everybody be vaccinated for any number of diseases. You have to take SSRIs so you can remain mentally stable. This is the sales, not the reality, right?
Yeah.
It's mandated. Now, if you want to leave the country, you have to accept a chip in your hand so you can be tracked. Well, do walls work? I don't know. Let's see if we can get through Trump's wall that he built 30 years ago.
What wall? Oh, you're talking about in the future.
Yeah, I'm speculating futurism here. And the whole thing is, walls are a double-edged sword. And that is a reality. You know what else is a reality? Everything I just mentioned. If we follow the course we're on now, that's where we're headed.
Walls have been done before. The Great Wall of China.
It didn't work either. None of them have, dude. None of them have. Not one wall on planet Earth has worked. Nope. And
they just find more extreme ways to get around or over
it's
them.
an arms race. And I mentioned this the other day. I was some dude on Facebook. He wanted to have the wall debate, and I'm like, well, I'm going to shoot down a couple of the arguments I've seen right out the gate. I'm going to address the whole home wall thing. I'm going to address the Israel comparison, and I'm going to address the Berlin comparison, and I did them all and shot them all down. And I'm basically like, if you're going to use, and this is true for economical comparisons, anything, if you're going to use another wall somewhere else to compare to a hypothetical wall here, you have to take in all of the socio-economical and political and geographical factors that are present in both situations. To just talk about the wall, I mean, that's like looking at one letter of the alphabet and saying that's the only letter in the alphabet, and you're talking like because B is all you're looking at. You know what I mean? You have to look at everything if you don't want to sound like that, because making unparalleled comparisons is irrational. It doesn't work out mathematically. It completely misses the point, and it's basically nonsense.
Well, here's the kicker right here. Nobody is thinking in terms of humanity as a whole. This is like a bunch.
And that's an even better point.
But this is like everybody's being kind of a nationalist standard freaking, well, you want the wall or you don't want the wall. Either way, there's a humanitarian issue happening.
Step away from the sky cloth.
Right. Well, these are human beings, man. I mean, okay.
What is America really about? Are we,
right. Yeah, let's put up a wall. But, all over the globe, if you think about it from a perspective of dominance of an elite, they don't want everybody to unite with each other because then they can't have control over us anymore.
Right.
The veil will be taken off. You know what I mean?
The land of the free. As far
as any real power player structure, whether it be a U.S. entity, bureaucratic or dynastic, any banking situation or the cartels themselves, even the Mexican government, all the way up to like global think tanks. You know what this wall is to them?
What?
Nothing.
Money.
That's even smaller. That's just Trump and his buddies making a deal. I'm talking bigger than that. I'm talking on the global planning and socioeconomic and political planning by the think tanks that sit above the corporations that a lot of people aren't even aware of. We're talking about trilateral commission, stuff like that.
Council on Foreign Relations.
Yes, Bilderberg, all that stuff. You know what this wall means to them? Nothing.
Yeah, it doesn't change anything. Well, you know what? It gives them...
It's a tree stump in their yard. It's nothing, dude.
Well, now they can separate... They can use Mexico as a falling ground for a lot of their criminal activities, and it's separated by a wall now. So...
The cartels don't care about that wall, dude.
Right.
That's like the army coming up to the city gates and going, ha, 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 and blasting a thermobaric freaking J-dam right through it, dude. It's nothing. They can breach that thing so fast. Chapo will pay for that wall and laugh in Trump's face and be like, peace, bro. I'm going to go make $5 more billion this year.
There's already ways under that wall, over that wall, and it ain't even up yet.
How can Chapo even pay for anything, dude? Didn't they freaking seize all of his crap? Wouldn't you think that's what happens?
Oh, come on.
Dude, he's probably literally got billions in bullion and cash money and international currencies buried in the jungle that will never be found. If he dies, it's gone forever, dude. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know that, Pablo Escobar did stuff like that.
Well,
we're talking about
Pablo Escobar buried money with dead bodies.
Yeah, the amount of
in
money
the middle of town.
They can seize what they can get their hands on. Is what I'm saying.
So, okay, let's just say they're going to take this defense budget and they're going to use the defense budget to build this wall.
Sure.
And they build the wall. And at the same time, they're getting ready to, right now, down in Venezuela, they're like, they need humanitarian aid.
So let's build a wall and keep them out.
Yeah, so let's give them some humanitarian aid, which throughout the past couple presidents, we've seen what this humanitarian aid is. It's a little bit of food, a little bit of water, some M4s, some grenade launchers.
Yeah, and we're gonna feed the insurgency down there. The anti-American force is going to seize a bunch of that crap, maybe intentionally, right? This war has to happen, doesn't it?
So now they have this civil war starting in Venezuela, and all of a sudden there's innocent people that have to get the hell out of there. They're going to die.
Right.
So
all that aid that's meant for innocent people is going to be stolen by the warlords.
All right, and then they're going to form caravans, and they're going to start tracking their way up to North America.
Sure.
And they're going to be faced with a wall. These people who just ran from a war that was premeditated and caused in part by maybe CIA, maybe United States, something. Okay.
But I use this argument all the time. What you're talking about, the scenario that you're bringing up, the reality, isn't new. It's been happening. A lot of people don't know about it because it's not on the evening news. It's in declassified military files, though. And
it's not even. You can go Wikipedia and they talk about
that stuff too, and even YouTube and whatnot.
I mean, how credible are those sources?
It depends on what they're presenting.
Yeah, I guess
if it's on official documents that they can show, then it's credible. I mean. But the I mean, it's the whole root of the problem tree is if we're going to put up a wall, we also need to be non-interventionalist. We need to leave them alone.
Yeah, stay out of Venezuela.
We put up a wall, leave them alone.
Well, yeah, they have two presidents over there that are trying to say they're president.
So
I guess
leave them alone. Leave them alone. We're putting up a wall to keep them out. Leave them alone.
Well, the people that are arguing the fact and rioting in the streets over there want one president.
Right.
And then the military and the U.S. military industrial complex want another one.
Sure.
So what do you do? You know, this is where the interventionalism.
It's already decided. It's about what other agendas they're going to push through with the action they're going to take. just can piggyback. You know what I'm saying?
But let's sit here and argue about the wall amongst each other in America because we're so smart and we're on Facebook and we know everything.
That wall is nothing but a distractive thing. And we talk about it all the time, but we're also sidestepping it and talking about what's bigger than the wall.
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about the wall. Let's talk about why you think we need the wall and why you think we don't need the wall. If in a perfect world, we wouldn't need a wall. We wouldn't need any of these national barriers all the time. But we have governments fighting with each other all over the freaking world for domination and, full access to natural resources so they can, sell it to us for, huge prices.
Dude,
and,
when it comes to developed nations, first world nations, the ones that are the most wealthy as a nation are large imperialistic superpowers like the United States. The ones that are the most wealthy for the citizenry, for the debt slaves, for the working man, are the ones that are non-interventionalist and just handle their business. All those countries that are compared to the United States by democratic socialists, which they're usually incorrect in their comparisons because they don't completely understand how their economies work. But there's one major difference of why a more socialist model might work in their government that won't work for the United States. They're not global superpowers. They're not the world's welfare basket. And they're not waging wars all over the globe. They mind their own business, man. They stay in their yard.
But a lot of them are really going against their people. And
some of them are.
Look at Italy, for instance. I mean, not Italy. France, Paris, over there. Where the yellow vests are.
They're having a civil thing going on right now. But
and they're in their 14th week over there already, and they still are weekend because these people have to work during the week, and then they protest on the weekend most of the time. But, they're constantly going after their president. They're constantly on the streets. They're constantly doing stuff.
Sure.
Over here, on the other side of it, we are arguing about a wall and women's rights and all this stuff that, doesn't really make any sense anymore because...
Well, we have a bunch of TV robots.
Well, yeah, we have the mainstream media consistently just spewing...
Space repetition, pounding dumb agendas into people's heads.
Things that aren't even freaking happening. Like, laws on top of it. They can't figure out how to fix a problem, so let's make a law. Let's build a wall. Let's make a law. Like...
I was thinking not so much France.
Tax.
Or make a tax.
I was thinking more Norway, Sweden kind of thing, but yeah.
Well, if you can't see it, people, United States does not go after root of any problem.
No.
They just put Band-Aids on it so that because the root of the problem is majorly involved.
Foreign policy and drug policy.
It's involved with our own government, and whoever is in collusion with our government, they're not going to go after the root of the problem.
The problem is making them so much money, dude.
Yeah, they can't
do it. That's
why
they want to put a Band-Aid on an infected boil. That boil infection isn't going away. The boil's not going away. There's just a Band-Aid on it.
Yeah, it is. That's what it is. And
it's not a solution. It's a blanket.
A law is not a solution. A law just shows that you can't figure out how to fix the stinking problem. So you got to put a law on it.
I say so.
Yeah, it's like,
who I say.
Oh, because we have a mass school shooting, we need to ban guns that are, they're going to put the semi-auto ban and all that other kind of...
How are they going to stop
bump stock,
stuff like that? Come on, get out of my freaking face.
You want to stop school shootings? Stop putting wind-up dolls out there.
You want to stop school shootings? Start spanking your kids again.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that will stop school shootings, and one of them that won't is it might stop school shootings if kids can't access the weapons that are required for school shootings. But what it won't stop is the violent outbursts. I don't know how they're going to stop school bombings after they ban the AR-15, but
right.
Laws just show that we are not advanced as a civilization, especially in the United States, because we got more laws you can shake a freaking leg at.
We got laws that are meaningless and
you're
contradictory.
Not fixing. They're just not fixing any problems. Like people, if you have a problem with mass school shootings, again, let's talk about that for just real briefly. If you have a problem with it, well, we need to look at mental health, and we need to look at some of the things that are in environment that are making kids do these things.
Laws.
Right, and what led up to that? What led up to that, and be able to prevent it the next time by noticing and being able to see when a kid is getting bullied.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the law is, now it's like, let's make a law because we have to punish everyone because of this situation. We want to take away
That's the point, though.
everybody's guns.
That's what governments do, man. That's what they want, power, and that's how they get it.
Yeah, by taking your guns.
Taking your liberties,
Taking
prohibiting
your liberties.
all
taking
that
your
stuff.
rights.
You can't even on a lower local level, like police and judges and attorneys and all them on their level, they're wheeling and dealing, and
There are a few out there that will fight the good fight. There are even some county sheriffs, man.
yeah,
But
a few. That was the key word right
exactly.
there.
We're going to bring this up. In Portage County, there's 2 judges, Doherty and Pittman. Doherty just got caught DUI drunk driving off the side of the road on the highway.
I seen to that.
So she's punished how many different people for felony DUIs, sent them to prison.
Millions.
I don't know. This is
not millions.
Thousands.
This is a sore
Thousands
subject
for
to
sure.
get into. It's a real sore subject. It's just
Get
Yeah,
into
you're talking
it.
about that judge that got pulled over for DUI,
Doherty.
puked all over the place,
puked
and
all over the door.
Okay, so
I mean, that's.
do we know what the stipulations are? I just heard she got 3 days in jail, blah, blah, blah. So what we're
Is she
saying
still
here
on the,
to our listeners who are not from this area, we had a judge get pulled over, DUI. She was pissed drunk in the snow, wrecked her car, and apparently she got 3 days in jail. She did not blow in the breathalyzer. She did not do any of their field sobriety tests. And
started screaming, "I'm a judge."
yeah.
It's
so
all
in
on
Ohio,
YouTube.
there's a law that comes from the Bureau of Motor Vehicles where they, if you refuse any of the testing that the police want to give you for a DUI, they automatically suspend your license without even reviewing your case. There's no due process. There's nothing along those lines. Any stipulations you had, maybe you had a medical disorder or something during that period and you couldn't take those tests or whatever. Doesn't matter. No liberty, no due process. Your butt does not have a license until you appeal it and go through all this stuff. So
Immediately.
yeah, so this is the guilty until proven innocent factor that is actually it's throughout the country right now, and that's not how it's supposed to be.
It's nothing new either. It's been that way, and people have accepted it under the pretense of innocent till proven guilty because I guess they can say, well, sentence hasn't been carried out, so you're still innocent. Yeah, but I've been locked up for 2 years.
Well, they say that because when you sign for your license, when you signed, it says that you will not drink, you will not use any drugs while you're driving or whatever. So what happens is it's not a criminal situation, it's a civil situation with the...
it's that social contract that you did actually sign.
Yes. So
They can hit you with the maritime law on that. Here's your signature.
Yeah.
Well, my question
Here's
is,
the
do you
boilerplate.
think she still belongs on the bench? Do you think she's
No, I
Do you
don't.
think she still should be able to pass down sentences?
No.
Okay.
She's done. Because if you're a judge, you're held to a higher standard.
Right.
I think every civil servant should be held to a higher standard,
You're also voted in.
including beat cops.
Yeah, if you're supposed to be of some level of authority to us, then you are going to be held to that standard.
It's a huge responsibility, and we don't hold them accountable to it anymore, man. We used to.
Yeah, well, I guess, if you hold authoritative figures accountable, at least if you start on the local level.
Yeah. It's almost always only on a local level.
Well, yeah, but you can work up. You can keep working up. Well,
Yeah.
if this mayor is doing these corrupt things and we're holding them to a higher standard because of it, and you're going to go to jail for 20 years. That's what's going to not you get a $10,000, $20,000 fine.
The jury has to push for that though, because a judge is not going to just slam another, their lunch buddy.
But then you keep working your way up the line. You actually, a president signs an executive order that destroys civil liberties or sends us into war and kills thousands and thousands of innocent people. War crime. You should be charged for it.
That's hanging offense, buddy.
I know, but you need to hold them accountable.
The
Period.
United States hides war criminals.
Of course.
They bring them over here
We
and
always
hide
have-
them.
Dude,
Give them a job, a 9-to-5 job.
The only reason NASA is what it is because of a Nazi
Right.
war criminal,
Look
if
at
you want to
that
be
German,
specific.
that German war criminal. He sat here for how long?
I don't know, but that wasn't cool. This is the end of the show? No, it's not. This is just the halfway point.
It's not the end of
Hey,
the show.
guess what, guys? Don't yell a bunch of crazy stuff when we're getting ready to go to the halfway point. How about that?
That's so crazy.
Whatever, we're winging it. The Bob and Bob Show. Check us on the other side.
Law is when you don't have a method of solving a problem. If people steal or hurt one another, you say it's against the law to hurt somebody. Well, if a person doesn't have the means to live by, he's going to hurt somebody to get the money or whatever they need. So that isn't dealing with a problem. Law is really avoiding problems. It's just nailing a proclamation on the wall saying, you don't do this. You see, it doesn't work. In the long run, you might cause people to consider an action before they take it. But all laws come into existence because of scarcity. Always difficult to imagine that. When there's scarcity of water, people will steal it, remove it, if not for themselves, for their children. So all the laws in the world, but if you don't want people to steal water, you build an electric fence around the water. See? And this is the way you say, you don't need to put up a sign, don't steal water. But those people will die. So we don't want to do that. We don't want to build a fence around our country, say, this is the greatest country in the world, we're going to keep it that way. We depend on other countries. If we live to ourselves, I can assure you, we'll die of ourselves. Because if the Russians do nuclear testing and they dump radioactive stuff into the sea, or the Japanese, the world is one big place, and the air moves around, and the waters move. Therefore, living to yourself, your little isolated colony, your little culture that you want to build, your little city that you want to build of people with like-mindedness, all of that has no basis for survival. Because in the event of catastrophic failure, you will be invaded by the minorities if they don't have food, water, or the wherewithal to live.
Hey, we're back. Bob and Bob Show.
Back already?
Second segment. Yeah, scarcity. Scarcity caused people to do a lot of crazy stuff.
I got to finish up I got to put my air guitar away, man.
Oh, crap. That was a great jam, dude. You did a great riff, man.
I'm getting pretty good at it.
Actually, that was done by Mick, and our listeners, some of them know him, I think. He's hung out with us a few times.
I'm better at air guitar than he is, though.
Oh, well, he's a great guitar player, though.
Yeah, he is.
Scarcity. People do crazy stuff when they don't have some of the basic things of life.
Yeah, it's called desperation.
I'll just take, for instance, my own home. When it rains real bad here, we have a well, spring-fed well system. When it rains really bad here, the water becomes cloudy and practically muddy. It looks like when you're peeing in the toilet. You already peed in the toilet kind of thing. It's gross, and then you have to wait for it to settle. So you got a couple days here where you don't have any water. You can't use it. And
so what do? You make a mud pit and invite 200 people over and get some live bands and barbecue going?
No, well, day one's okay. You know, we always have a little bit of bottled water on backup, couple jugs you can cook with or whatever. Day one's fine.
Yeah.
Day two, a little bit of anger starts coming out of people in the household. Sure. You can't take a shower for the second day now.
Yeah.
You want your coffee and you're running out of bottled water. You got to go back to the store. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So. If it was to continue and you couldn't get bottled water and you couldn't get what you needed, we'd be at each other's throats, man. You know what I mean?
Sounds like trucking, man, actually. A lot like it.
Well, scarcity, it does. If you look at our economy, for example, they hold back stuff sometimes just to cause scarcity.
You mean like money?
Oh, yeah. Money,
the Federal
gold,
Reserve,
diamonds, all those kind of things.
Commodities.
So, yeah. So people go nuts, man. They will eat each other in the end.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have what you need.
Well, desperation is relative to action. I've made the argument a bunch of times, also, like crime. People aren't, other than the criminally insane, okay, where you can take that factor out of it because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people that are delusional and insane. I'm talking about normal people aren't criminals. Criminality is an act of desperation. People don't just like run around People don't steal food from you unless they're hungry. People don't leave their home unless it's a dire situation of danger or hunger or some kind of human suffering that's enough for them to uproot and leave. People don't like to leave their home.
Well, they don't like to. They don't like to have things stolen from them either.
Yeah, crime happens where there's desperation,
where and scarcity.
Where quality of life is low, whether real or perceived. Perceived is all that really matters because that's where the action comes from. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Well, so we're getting at it. We're looking at a root of a problem here. It looks like
we're looking at how humans deal with problems, and it branches out. How an individual deals with a problem is part of how systemically problems are dealt with, because the system is a group of individuals. There's nuance in every case, but there are going to be trends on a bell curve, and it's pretty predictable. A scarcity of food means there's going to be, just like the starving dogs running around in Afghanistan looking for a body to gnaw on. Well, in Venezuela, they're looking for the dog.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, dude.
Yeah, look at it. I mean, if they're manipulating the hell out of the currency, your dollar doesn't have as much bang for the buck as it used to, obviously.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people are constantly chiseling off of each other in order to survive. And, I mean, in the end, is what's really happening is we're not getting what our God-given right is that's just our life
pursuit of
and pursuit of happiness. We're not able to do it.
Yeah, being still having that liberty is one thing. Being capable or allowed, as you're saying, to bring it to fruition is something else, because usually when people are left alone, they can do things for themselves in groups and individually. It's usually a power structure of some sort, almost always government, that takes that away. But that's problem, reaction, solution. What they do is create a problem, get your reaction, which is eating the dogs or whatever it may be, then they present a solution to you.
Or it's like, oh, well, we can protect you in the name of national security, so
exactly.
You do not need weapons. We're going to put a law down, and we're going to come take your weapons because you don't need them.
You people can't handle weapons because murder still exists. Don't tell them about the war where we murdered 30 million people over 10 years. Democide is still the number one cause of unnatural death in the world. Democide is when governments kill citizens, by the way. So the government, which is the most dangerous entity on the planet, is going to tell the citizen they can't be armed anymore because the citizen can't be trusted with weapons. In no universe does that make sense to me. Don't compare me to Nicholas Cruz or anybody else because I'm not that dude, and piss off.
The government's just as bad as any other criminal. They just go in and take what they want anyway.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But they just have bigger and badder weapons.
And all the force and political backing to...
Right.
Yeah.
But it's okay. It's okay if they do it, though.
Right. Exactly. And it's not even... That's just guns. I mean, we can apply this to anything. It can be food. It can be water. It can be money. Mm-hmm. Everything.
Well, let's let the corporations just take control so that they can sell us frickin' chicken nuggets with freaking plastic in it,
dude.
Stuff like that. Why are you going to use all these stupid fillers just so you can make more money and sell more crap?
Dude, the USDA just approved sending chickens, American chickens, to China so they can be processed and shipped back.
I saw that article that you posted, and I was like, what source was that from? Because I think they're kind of sketchy.
Maybe. I can tell you some stuff that I've actually experienced, like in real life.
Well,
it doesn't make sense any more than that does.
I remember chicken used to taste a hell of a lot better back in the day than it does now.
It's not even the same species that it was 20 years ago.
It's a big, fat, steroided, bloated-out chicken that friggin'...
It's toxic food is what it is. It's factory food.
Yeah, that's why. Well, let's pay attention to the stupid wall, the humanitarian issue. We're not going to take care of the humanitarian issue. We're going to build a wall.
It's not about humanitarianism. If it was... break it down like this. If the solution was a humanitarian one, it would have to be looked at from what is rationally best for humanitarian purposes, meaning peace and prosperity for everybody. What that would mean is ending the drug war so the violence goes away, ending the drug war so the criminal mafias go away, because their whole market changes at that point, and a lot of the violence becomes unnecessary just systemically. Stop meddling in foreign elections. Stop meddling in foreign policy with foreign governments. Stop putting banana republic dictators in. that are following agendas. What it is that the power players are against us. It's
let's
that
cry
simple.
about the Russian collusion involved in the election with Trump, but yet the United States has been involved in so many other collusional electoral factors in all these different countries, even like Egypt, Hosni Mubarak, all of this,
Libya,
dude.
it's a big crystal castle.
Now they're
buddy.
down in Venezuela. I mean, get the hell out of here, dude. If you're going to sit here and act like America is this big, great freaking thing, and Russia's coming to get us, the big red scare.
America's no
Get out of
better
here.
or worse than Russia. We're both superpowers on opposite side of the globes, and we both do the same stuff. We're intervening in other people's crap. Why wouldn't they intervene in ours? Should I, and we intervene in theirs. Should that be okay? No. Should that be the main focus of the evening news? No. No. Talk about what's really going on.
I watch the news. I mean, I keep it on sometimes, and I listen to what they're saying. I mean, they are literally manipulating the living hell out of you.
That's nothing new, though.
I mean, it is crazy the way they do it, because I switch back and forth from Fox to CNN all the time just to see the two sides of the duality here. You know what I mean? And dude, it is so brutal and so stupid. It's like, if I sit to think to myself, like, how many people are watching this and they actually believe it, and they actually think these idiots are telling you the freaking truth? Like,
Dude.
Oh my God!
90% of the public.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
90% of the
parents.
people.
it's funny how they do it, because
the boomers are the worst.
Oh,
too.
they are too, and they sprinkle little truths all throughout everything.
Sure.
So that when you get into an argument with somebody, like, well, CNN said this and CNN said that, and it was factual.
It's a pillow fight, dude.
Yeah, and on the other side of it, they're like totally lying their balls off, and they're freaking saying just crazy stuff that doesn't even make sense anymore. And then they put up there, well, this is a Fox News political analyst, and Fox News political analyst. Get your freaking head out of my ass. That's what I'm saying right there, dude, because get out of here, dude. It's your political analyst. I mean, you're an analyst? What are you doing? Are you analyzing fake statistics, and now you got a conclusion, and you're going to come at us like you know everything?
Right, having your employee justify the boss.
We investigated
I write
ourselves.
your check. You do as I say.
Yeah, it's like the police department. We investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing.
And you have to obey these laws, and we're going to investigate you.
We're gonna make a law about you investigating us.
Yeah, you're not allowed to investigate us.
They try, man. They try.
We're gonna make this other law about you do as we say.
You know what? You know what that law is? It's the NDAA. You're a terrorist.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know what really gets my goat too is,
Red flag laws.
the police. Let's talk about the police for a minute.
Oh,
okay?
yes.
And I know we all have our experiences with the police.
I've had good and bad experiences with cops.
Let me get this out real quick. It's more like, you're trying to do your job, and the average American citizen is like, I understand you have to pull me out of my car. You really don't have any probable cause. But the American citizen is pretty much stupid and doesn't understand. So you pull them out of their car. You got them doing dances in the road. You're trying to trip them up with all your words and all that crap so that you can they incriminate themselves so that you can get a case.
Well, they'll ask you
them.
the same question 5 times and see if you answer
see
it
if you keep
differently.
screwing it up or whatever. Now, that's just some cops. Now, let me make this straight, because there's a lot of good cops. There is a lot of good cops, and I know them personally.
Sure.
But they're going to take orders in the end.
I know.
Most of them, okay? They're not going to step over that boundary because it's going to ruin their job.
People that are, they're protecting their paycheck and their livelihood, and you got to remember that this is their career. They're not. I don't care how woke a cop is. He's not really that woke if he's still enforcing laws, because at the very base level, the entire profession in many ways is immoral. If they're enforcing victimless crimes, for example. If they're issuing citations to people that's just generating revenue for the city, and that's really the only point of it, it's completely immoral, and they're not even going to see that because they're so deep in it, dude. They're so deep in it, they're not even going to see it or agree with it. They would have to rearrange their whole perception on what they've been doing with their lives to do so.
Well, I'll tell you, I've been pulled over by cops a lot, and I've been around them a lot, on the good side and the bad side.
Yeah.
And the ones on the bad side, when they think you did something wrong, you don't know if you really did. That's the one problem, is you don't know if you did something wrong or not, because there's so many damn laws. Okay, but
they don't know them either, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, well, they don't know them either.
I know.
But then you get these young 25, 27-year-old cops.
They haven't got the point yet.
And they stand there, and they're like a statue, and they're real authoritative looking. You know, they take their job real seriously.
Yeah, he's an ex-MP, man. Yep,
that's what he is.
I know.
Or it's more like, you're putting up a freaking checkpoint that's illegal, and you want to just start yanking Americans out of their cars and questioning them and wanting their ID and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And you actually think that this is good.
And when he gets in his Chevy Silverado at the end of the day to drive home, he's he's listening to some patriotic song about American freedom on the country music station, but he's a freaking jackboot, man.
Yeah, well, I hate to like go against anything that the police do, but unfortunately, we've seen their brutality, we've seen their discrimination, we've seen how they a couple cities we know, they changed their cop cars to all black.
Yeah.
So now they're in stealth mode.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like now you're hiding in the shadows, waiting to freaking take a nice American citizen out of the, give him a ticket, because I'm for our country.
We need to get
meet
a
your quota. We got to meet the quota of tickets.
Try to get a $10,000 fine out of you.
I don't know if that's a conspiracy theory or not. Do they really have to have?
They have to have
meet
quotas.
a quota.
You have to have so many tickets written.
That's got to be variable because I've talked to cops that said the opposite. Like a dude I knew for a long time. I'll keep all that stuff confidential, but he was basically like, I know cops that do nothing but write speeding tickets all day. It's all they do. Been doing it for like 8 years. It's all they do.
They just sit on the side of the road, hidden.
All they do. Issue like 10 tickets a day, 5 days a week, 280 days a year, whatever it may be. That's all they do. And he's like, there's other cops that don't give a crap about traffic enforcement at all. They don't care. They're not interested. They're waiting for other calls. It's like you take an oath to enforce the law. That's your only obligation, and it's also discretionary. He's like, you don't actually have to do anything.
I don't know. You can pretty much pinpoint when Cuyahoga Falls police would be out. Toward the end of the month, toward the beginning of the month, they're on the highways.
Well, I'm sure they
long,
might have. There might be a quota system in some departments. This guy I was talking to isn't even from Ohio, man. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure there's different rules in different places and whatnot. Newburgh Heights.
Different branches.
Newburgh Heights, which is Cleveland suburb, they got busted recently. It was on the evening news. They faced a lawsuit. They were hosing the public, man. They were sending people tickets in the mail that they couldn't prove, and people would send the money in without contesting it.
Right.
And they were stealing hundreds of thousands of dollars from the citizenry, just mailing them tickets.
That's
doubling,
not criminal at all.
Doubling fines and stuff. Like, avoid their own ordinances they were violating. Like, this fine's supposed to be $100. They would charge them like $800 or something, and people would pay it.
It was
totally criminal.
That's crazy. I've also seen, I've been researching a lot of different cases. I've been actually reading some of the transcripts from cases and stuff like that. And people have been convicted with the only evidence that the state could provide was a police testimony. So
hearsay.
It was
hearsay.
Trash. So it's their word against yours, but because
all you have
they
is their
are
word.
of authority and you are a peon American citizen, well, you're getting convicted.
Doesn't that violate?
Prosecutor isn't going to budge. Prosecutor is going to say, well, we're going to take it to trial when you get to your arraignment or whatever. They're going to say, well, the cop says, so we're going to take it to trial anyway.
Arguments of authority are not valid for that reason.
Well, dude, really, because if you look across the country, authority has a big hand in screwing up and being a criminal as well.
I'm not saying they don't get away with it. I'm saying it in reality, it has no more basis in fact. It's just a guy's opinion versus another guy's opinion.
Well, see, here's
a story of what happened.
Here's the catch-22.
They all have motive to lie.
You know why they do that? Because a lot of times when you get into trial and they do jury selection. Actually, it's not jury selection. It's jury deselection, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They just, they line up people, they ask them questions, and they start getting rid of some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not jury selection.
Cherry picking your jury can go a long way to your cause.
So you get a bunch of older, conservative, Republican-style...
profile each juror.
Right, you get them up there, and they believe that cops do no wrong because they're older, and they come from that generation that doesn't understand that things have gotten a lot crazier.
You look at who has a son and a nephew that's a cop. You look at whether this guy was in the military.
Yes.
Yeah, you can profile him, dude.
And then now you have a jury sitting up there that's going to say no matter what evidence that they don't have, They have a police testimony, and that is what you're going to get convicted of.
Right. Cops don't need a character witness.
No,
because they have that badge. That's their character witness.
Here's the other side of it. I mean, it's 2019. Shouldn't they be recording and videoing everything?
Everything.
So when a cop pulls you over and whatever the offense is going to be, and you get into court and he has no video footage,
which I believe should weigh totally on the person who's being accused of whatever they're accused of. Why don't you have video? If you don't have video, I don't believe what you had to say, because you had every opportunity to either stand in front of the vehicle. You got body cams now. You've got cameras inside the
You could have recorded audio.
You've got cameras at the station. I mean, anywhere you go, you have a camera. Well, you don't have one camera? I don't believe this guy did this.
Yeah. You don't have one camera.
Yeah, not one camera, not anything. You have nothing. What?
So now it's just hearsay.
Was he even really there?
So, but you're still going to get convicted just because the police said that you were doing something wrong.
Right.
Just because they said it. That's it.
Yep.
So what kind of due process is that?
Well,
what kind of prosecutor has the right when he doesn't have video evidence, no hard factual evidence? What gives him the right to move that on to trial?
The jury.
There's no jury yet. Right now, he needs to go in front of a judge and say, hey, look, I got the cop saying one thing, I got the other guy saying another. You know, do you have video evidence? Do you have any witnesses?
Prosecutors and district attorneys have so much political power, people never even think about it. They have power over your freedom.
They do. They do.
They have power over which cases are going to get thrown out and which ones are going to get pushed through. I mean, I know this is already what you're saying. They literally choose what goes to court and what doesn't. They have all the power.
I know.
Man.
It all depends on who you know.
They have more power than the freaking judge, dude. If you think about it in a sense, like, it's incredible the amount of power a prosecutor has. Man.
I know. It's crazy how they actually can they'll move it to trial, waste taxpayers' money, waste jurors' time on a case that has no substantial organic evidence.
Yeah.
All it is people talking.
Yeah.
Like, where's our due process? So if it's happening on a local level like this, what's happening on a higher level, on a federal level?
It's all the same. It's just bigger. It's the same process and the same power structure.
So I'm sure a lot of people out there, a lot of our listeners have encountered situations like this, or have heard about it, or have seen it, or whatever. So what makes you think that this doesn't happen on a federal level?
Right.
Why wouldn't it?
I love it when you bring up those points, dude, because you you bring up the little place where everybody can see it.
Yeah.
This is a part of your daily life. You've been through it yourself, or you know somebody that's been through it. And then you take the bigger blueprint that's of exactly the same design.
Yep.
It's the same blueprint. It's just blown up.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't it happen there too?
Right.
Because they're bigger and more powerful? No, it's going to be even more.
It's even worse.
They're less accountable.
Yeah.
You know, like, people don't think that way, dude.
Right.
Like,
You take Trump, for instance, and he starts changing over the Supreme Court. And, he's building the wall. He's going for the national defense budget to build the wall. He's declaring a national emergency. He's going to go through all these different court proceedings. But in the end, he's going to be in the Supreme Court.
Yep.
And in the Supreme Court, that's where all of his buddies are now.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Kavanaugh's in there.
So, yeah, we'll see this one really not happen, because there's no impeachment happening. By the time they even started impeachments, he would be already out of office. And, I mean, is he going to get a second term? We don't know.
Let's do a radical suggestion that'll never happen. Abolish the presidency. Take it away.
Well, our forefathers had 3 branches of government.
I know.
What did Cortez, what'd she say those 3 branches of government were? Or Casio?
What did she say they were? I don't know, because they were wrong, so I don't remember. I know the real ones.
I was trying to figure out.
Executive, judicial, and legislative, but
what did she say,
said, I don't remember. It was like basketball, baseball, football. I don't remember, dude.
Oh, great. This is the Green Deal movement. Dude, it's a spin doctor move. All these people are out here. They're throwing out their views, and they're freaking playing political entertainers.
Yeah,
because that's what they are. They're just entertainers, and they're entertainers with the ability to sign off on laws and stuff, and write stuff like the Patriot Act and the National Defense Authorization Act, Obamacare, stuff like that.
It's for your safety, man.
So it's for your safety, it's for your health, and it's for all the good things that humanitarian people need, right? Humans need these good things.
I want to play devil's advocate for a second.
Okay.
The TSA, last time I went on a flight, I was talking so much crap when we were going through the TSA. I was with my sister, and she's like elbowing me like, shut up. I'm like, I'm about to get buck naked.
Cavity
right
search.
She's like, shut up. Like, it's just funny, dude. But anyway, what I was saying is, okay, the TSA, the NSA, what are these other alphabet soups that have so much power? The things like the things that are in the Patriot Act that give the FBI, NSA, all these agencies power, the NDAA, and all the civil liberties that can be used against us in a grave way if they choose to do so. Has it stopped any threats?
No, it hasn't.
We don't know.
We don't know.
They're like, oh, gun violence is on the rise. We got to get rid of guns. There's
no. I'm talking about specifically what's in those bills and what these agencies have been doing. The fact of the matter is, we don't know how effective they are and what we're told these policies exist for. We don't know because they don't tell us, because it is actual national security to keep that confidential. So we don't know how effective it is. The other side of that is that's also a cloak for massive tyrannies, because every time the government has power to do these things, it has power over the population, which takes away civil liberties, gives power to the government, like I was saying earlier. Mm-hmm. So it is also a policy is a double-edged sword. Are they stopping terrorists? They probably are, because I've found a few articles and stories and things that happened that aren't common knowledge, and they have stopped quite a few pretty bad things from happening. But is that really because could they have done it without some of these acts, these political moves, these mandates?
Does it matter to you as long as they got stopped?
Right. What is the cost? What is the cost in liberty to the people? The future could show that to be very bleak. Well, you know what I'm saying?
Here's what the real problem is. Whatever you guys can classify as terrorists, or they can classify as terrorists.
The language has to be, the language has to be absolutely specific.
Yeah,
right.
absolutely to the T. Not like, oh, we suspect you of, or you said this, or you know. I understand maybe you were like building or buying bomb material and stuff like that, and there's
I like to blow shit up on my property, man.
Yeah, but there's like a paper trail or whatever. I guess it's
dude. You know how many old refrigerators I have on my property? It's really fun to make them go boom and videotape it. Am I a terrorist?
No, you're not. But you know there is a fine line.
Neighbors.
There's a yeah, your neighbors hate your ass, don't they?
Well, I don't like their rooster at 4 a.m. either. So.
Did you blow it up too?
Well, the language, like you said, the language is so broad that it actually can pertain to American citizens that are doing nothing wrong.
Red flag laws are an open door to total gun confiscation without habeas corpus due process, any of it.
Well, you know, if I'm not doing anything wrong, well, they're not going to come mess with me.
If you have a gun, you're doing something wrong.
Yeah, right. Well, if you have if you're collecting rainwater in some states, you're doing something wrong. If you have a windmill on top of your house, you're doing something wrong. You know, if you don't vaccinate your children, you're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
It goes on and on and on.
So there has to be very, very specific watchdog, vigilance, legal language has to be demanded by those who these laws are imposed upon. It is the duty of the civil servants that are elected into office to represent us to make sure that they watchdog the government that they work in.
But they don't.
They don't. That's the design. That's the design.
Already.
The corruption is the problem. You know what I'm saying?
You know what the problem is there's no transparency.
Right.
And we've talked about Rand.
And they're not punished for the policy they make.
Well, we talked about Rand Paul. I don't even know what bill that was, but it was something that they released, and they had to vote on it within a few hours. They couldn't take any pictures of it. It was in a room that was locked. You were let in there for a certain amount of time to read the bill, and then you had to vote on it a few hours later. What kind of crap is that?
It's nothing new.
Like, and the American people really are not aware of it because they're more aware of frickin' LeBron James' racist ass,
well, you know what,
these other people that are out there on entertainment heads.
The American people vote their chosen dude into office that they have decided to accept for whatever reason, and they just let it go. They expect them to do what they want them to do, and what the reality of that is that every person has a different idea of that, and what does it end in? Usually in whatever's best for that politician, which isn't best for the people that even voted for.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, if people don't pay attention, if people I don't want to hear it anymore. They stick their
People
fingers in their ears.
Pay
people-
attention to what? Pay
Politics-
attention to what? To television
they're-
where it's all lies?
People have
Politics
to-
are scary.
People have to pay attention to what's not being said to them. People have to pay attention to what is not written in the script. People have to pay attention to the situation from their own critical viewpoint, not
Yeah.
what you're being told by the squawk box.
Yeah, the squawk box where everybody wants to tell you what to do. Like
Scuttlebutt.
the mainstream media.
Dude, this show went way too fast.
Yeah, it always does, man.
Yeah.
That's because we just keep going and going and going.
No, we didn't even let Chops get in,
Hey,
man.
thanks everybody for listening. Bob and Bob Show. Check us out.